here we have some collard greens. They are starting to bolt because of the heat, and just the weather has been very odd. These are edible. They're very expensive. Oh, I see a ladybug, so that is a great thing. I just took her off. But I'm also not just harvesting. I'm also getting the things that are not benefiting the plant off. So any kind of growth that is going to seed, we want it, and it is beneficial. To harvest on the collard greens, I kind of want to go below. I want to be lower. I want to harvest the lower leaves that are big enough. I'm going to take leaves that are preventing the small leaves from getting sun. So it's about maintenance when you're harvesting. You're not just harvesting to be greedy and say, oh, I want all of this. You're really harvesting to say, I'm going to care for the plant and my body at the same time. So we have a few collards, not that much, but we won't need that much because we're going to do a salad. And then we have a lot of thyme. So I chose to grow thyme with the collard greens because it's anti-fungal, bacterial, a lot of but it is a pest control. So if it's a pest control for the plants, it should be a pest control for you too. No different than your onion and your garlic. They're pest control in the garden, and they are also pest control in the body. So that is a lot of time for one salad. But I just took 2 branches. It will regrow. I didn't want to take too much because I don't need too much, and it's already here, so I can come back and get it if I need more, right? The next thing we're going to harvest is kale. Follow me. All of these weeds are beneficial too. I'm not getting rid of my weeds. I need them. I need them for compost, but I need them for compost tea. All right, Chef Courtney, do we need any parsley? That's a lot right here.
Parsley is great for plate decor.
Yeah.
When you want to dress your plate, make it look pretty, do a little garnish, add some parsley.
In my opinion, I love it with salmon croquette.
Okay.
Inside the ingredient, for whatever reason, I do cilantro on the top. Because see, me and cilantro, we that thing.
Best friends.
We in that thing. Parsley is the #1 bladder control.
Okay.
So making tea out of parsley is really helping with women's health. So pay attention to that. It could be a tea. It doesn't necessarily have to be, something that you're actually cooking with. But I agree, it's not the best flavor or taste.
Well, and it's that.
So the other thing is we are here with the kale. And I have to, in my mind, make sure that our plant feels loved, nurtured, changing its diaper basically, wanting all the old to get off. It does not want what it does, it cannot help anymore. It's preventing new growth if you have a lot of old growth. So I'm throwing those out, not because they're something I can't use. They're going to go in my compost tea. I'm going to use them, but just not for cooking.
That was a word you just said.
Yes.
We cannot have new growth if we are sitting with the old.
All right, so now same thing with the collard greens. We're just gonna pull off some. Kale is very hardy, and I'm sure Chef Courtney G is gonna talk to you about this hardiness of this kale. I know some people don't like it without cooking it, but I mean, I had a kale Caesar one time, and I love kale ever since. But I'm not just getting ready to eat kale by itself. So we're gonna get a lesson on that. Is this enough kale?
Oh, that's plenty.
Perfect.
That's plenty.
Alrighty, so we have dandelion out here. This is pretty much undeveloped, so I don't want to take too much of this dandelion, but we need some garlic chives. And this is garlic or onion chives. Let's smell. Let's see.
Let me smell. What are those with the bulbs in the front?
This smells like onion, but these are the seeds. So, but they're flavored too. So let's harvest one today so we can open it and that you can see how to use it for flavoring. Yes. But they are, it smells like onion chive to me.
It does.
So that means we need to grab some garlic. The garlic chives, I think this is society garlic right here.
It smells like it is.
Yeah, so society garlic is a lot lighter. It's
Yeah,
not as
but it's
rich.
not as, yeah.
But you see that it's right next to an onion. You know, so it's hard to tell on your chives sometimes. You really got to just smell what's going on. Alrighty. And we are right here. Looks like an ant bed. Yes, we are. I'm in an ant bed as we speak. As you see, my boots are in this ant bed. So, yeah, watch this. All of that. There they coming.
Yeah, I feel like that was straight bugs.
Yeah. So, I'm in an ant bed, and I was going to harvest these dandelions, but they're in the ant bed too. So, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, because
Where we're going to go, what else do we need?
we have the kale. Do we have any herbs like rosemary?
We do. Okay, here's some, over here, we have a lot of weeds and lemongrass that will pop back soon. But you see this wonderful dandelion right here, right? This is all about compaction. And dandelion is a little prickly something, you know? So you just got to be careful how you harvest it and how you hold it after you harvest it. Because it's protecting itself. But, and all of this milk, look at that milk from me harvesting. That is the nutrients you are looking for. So when I harvest, you see I'm holding them together. You okay? I'm holding it together so it won't poke me. But that milk is in there. And this is the nutrients. And it's going to go right into your salad right now.
That's beautiful. I feel like that's milk from the gods.
So now we're going to go find some rosemary. Is I moved it, right? I didn't have enough volunteers because, see, y'all say y'all want to help, but y'all don't be showing up. So I didn't have enough volunteers. So when it came time to weed this particular bed, all I did was pick up the herbs and move them somewhere so that I could get all the weeds out. So I just left it right here accidentally. So it's here, and we got a lot of oregano. Oregano is the #1 reproductive organ's friend. Reproductive organs for women. It's a warming, calming effect as well to the body, but it is extremely beneficial. It could be a ground cover and protect your grounds as well. I just pulled off one with roots. I could regrow this. We're gonna give this to Chef G so she can regrow this one. This one has roots. This is valuable. A lot of times when you go to the store, you might not see roots because they don't want you to regrow for yourself. But how hard is it for me? It's easier for me just to pull this up and sell it versus making sure that you can't have access to regrowing it, right? So look for the roots when you're growing stuff over. But yeah, it's not that hard to make sure people can regrow for themselves. It doesn't take any extra effort. It takes more effort to make sure you can't grow than to, do that. So we have a lot of carrots and stuff over here. We have some lavender, but we're not going to harvest any of that. And I have a lot of rosemary that has died. It is an herb and it's still great to use. Let me get my oregano back. So yeah, we're going to use some of this dried rosemary. And we're going to use some fresh. Hope I'm not stepping on no carrots because I've got that bad in my life. All right, so we have rosemary as well. It's very fragrant. Let's go back and talk to Chef Courtney G.
Already looks pretty. Yes. I always feel like this about an avocado. Oh, yay. Don't look bad. Some of those parts. Cilantro here, green onions. You have quinoa, tricolor quinoa. You have a tahini dressing. We're gonna mix up later. Red bell pepper here. You have your cucumber. You have your heirloom tomatoes, and we have arugula here. Quiet on the set. Okay. Alrighty. Actually, what I'm gonna do with the collards is I'm gonna do like how we would do with rolling them and then cutting
slicing
them. Yeah. Collards, right? Collards, collards, and then I'll pluck the herbs.
Yeah.
Dandelion. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the same thing with the dandelion, but I'll wait for that. I kind of want some of it to still be like off to the side for like rustic purposes.
Right.
Oregano.
And this is the oregano you can regrow.
Oh yes,
This
we'll
one's the
leave
one
that
you
off
wanna
to the
regrow.
side. Yeah. The thyme.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Thyme, oregano,
Okay, perfect.
rosemary.
You can regrow that, right?
Which one?
The rosemary, like you. Can
You
take
could
the bottom.
regrow the rosemary. I didn't harvest it in such a way. I actually kind of pinched it.
Really?
And I just probably need to slice it and put it in rooting agent or honey. And I've been successful at Paul Quinn, but I've been unsuccessful more than I've been successful in propagation of rosemary.
Yeah.
Based, and it must stay
And
heated.
see, that's the thing. Okay, so that's why my rosemary be dying. Because I'm thinking it's more like a dry.
Yeah, it wants to
plant.
get dry. It wants to dry entirely and be watered again. But in propagation mode, it had to stay moist. I didn't have any holes. I actually regrew it in one of those clam shells you would get your arugula in. You know, those clam. That's what I regrew it in. And my farm director at the time was like, Darciea, I don't think it's gonna take because you know it needs a lot more air. I was using the end of the greenhouse where there was a lot of ventilation anyway.
Yeah.
So it did get dry on top, but I think that bottom stayed moist, and I think that it helped it. And I was just coming out of Master Gardening at the time, and they talked about root agent. So it did have a rooting agent. I did not use honey, but honey is a rooting agent.
Really? Another thing you can do with kale chips. Whew. Kale chips. After I show you how you were able to break down, you see how tough it is. Kale is very it can be rough. It can be very firm. It's not something that's just, see how a little bit more flimsy the arugula is. This one is like, no, this it's like iron.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if you're biting into that, you're not able to chew it, or you have to chew a lot before you can actually even get ready to swallow it. So we're going to show you how to just break that down, how to just get all into the kale with the olive oil, seasoning, which is fun. I love get your hands in there. Really like kind of flimsy a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually just going to take all of this, some of it like this here, I'll go ahead and pluck some of this off because that stem is kind of rough right there. But some of this, I'm gonna take this here. I didn't take all of it off the vine, but I mean, I was able to cut that just very easily. So if you don't feel like actually sitting here and doing that, you can just take this right here, this bundle right here, pinch it together. You can just chop it. And you can't even tell that you have no stems in there. It's not even just that. I mean, that's still nutrients, so you're not eating anything that's going to be harmful to you. Love fresh herbs. It smells so good. Okay. Taking rosemary and you are just wanting to get off the vine, always go the opposite direction from the stem. So there you go. You got rosemary. Now, if you want to chop this up smaller, I don't mind it being this way because, I mean, look at how tiny one of them is, you know. But, oh, the smell of it smells so good. Love rosemary. And then just pick it apart a little bit and just throw it in your salad. If you don't want to chop it up, you don't have to. Oof, it smells so good.
You can make tea out of the stems if you don't want to compost them or regrow them.
And just take the rest of it off. There you go. Yeah. It smells good. I see what you mean too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's prickly. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. And see, you're not gonna feel it like that in the store.
Mm-hmm. And there's so many different varieties. This is a wild variety, so that makes it. Yeah. So you have so many different types of dandelion.
And you said they can. And dandelion is a weed.
Yes. Yeah, okay. It is definitely a weed. Yeah. And it is my soil compaction signal.
Yeah.
I know my soil is extremely compact in certain areas, so I might need to loosen the soil in certain areas if I have too many, dandelions growing. I mean, their seeds, like everything else, they're gonna blow, so they'll grow where they're planted. But if they're coming up, on their own, it's showing you compaction of the soil. It's
too much. It's too dense. Too dense. Yeah. Oh, okay. So since it's sticky back here, should I shave any of that off?
I think that. Honestly, I think that watering or the water, I'm not sure, but I thought that it would, displace itself upon water. Okay. We can do an experiment.
Yeah, I'm testing out stuff now. Right. I'm just like, how do I don't even know if this will work. I'm just trying to see.
Right.
I know ain't nobody really gonna want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. Look at all this green. You can make them as big or as small as you like. They don't have to be any type of size. Seeds and all, stems and all. I like using the stem sometimes because it adds like a little bit of a firmness, but it's not gonna hurt you. might get a little extra nutrients from it.
Digestive system.
Yeah.
That is, it's, you know, it's processed.
What we're doing. And I mean, really not that dirty. It looks really nice and green. So, if you were just taking your kale by itself, then what you would do, you would wash it, you would peel it from the stem, and then what you would do is you would break it down. And how you actually break down kale, how you're able to chew and tenderize it. You think of when you eat meat, you add salt, you add oil, you season, and you actually tenderize your meat because you wouldn't eat it raw because you can't chew through it. That's the type of texture kale gives you. So we start adding our ingredients. So we're going to take the quinoa. And quinoa is actually really good. It's high in carbs, so if you do want to do low carb or no carb, use cauliflower rice. It'll give you the same exact result. But it's a seed. Quinoa is actually a seed, but it has one of the highest forms of protein, 8 grams per 1 cup of cooked quinoa. So, like I said, this is a full meal. If you don't want to add any other protein to your meal, add quinoa. Make this kind of prettier. Cilantro goes with everything. Love arugula. Arugula is going to give it a nice bite. Very nice bite. You have that. I mean, whenever you're using your spices and you're using your thyme and you're using your oregano and your rosemary and your garlic powder and your onion powder, I mean, I can go all day, your smoked paprika, all of that is your flavor. That's your flavor. All you need salt for is to enhance that. But sometimes you just add, if you add too much salt, I mean, what does that do? That gives you bloat. That does not help your kidneys. So, I mean, we have a lot of high salt foods because salt is actually a preserve. And so when you're preserving your food, you're doing preserved meats, and when you're preserving like lemons and things like that, you cover it with salt to preserve it, right? But that also traps in water. So be careful about adding too much salt, thinking that you're seasoning, and you're really not. You're just bloating yourself. Yeah. That way we can see everything that's in there. Has that really nice flavor. Added a little bit of salt, so you see how it got a little thick? Once it gets a little thick, then all you need to do, slowly add in your water. This is your dressing. And you can make it as thick or as loose as you want.
So if you're a dipper, you want it thick.
If you're a dipper, you want it thick. As for a salad dressing, this is pretty good. Pretty good consistency. See all of that already going to the bottom? Look at that. Oh, I'm gonna eat all of that. All that stuff up from the bottom. Bring it to the top again. And see, that was plenty of tahini dressing. Like that actually, you see it coated everything.